Welcome back to the studio. My name is Derek, for those of you who don't know me. Now, we were just talking about leaves, and the shapes of them don't really matter, because what we're painting here is more of an impressionistic tree than, say, imagery to, copying a tree by what your eyes see 100%. So the shapes don't matter. You're just putting on rough shapes to suggest what you want the eye to think is there, what you want the brain to interpret that the eye is there, or tell the brain the eye. Anyway, yeah, you get what I'm saying. What is actually there doesn't really matter, because you're going to identify those things in there that make people's eyes see a tree. We're going to go darker on one side than we are on the other side, because let's say our light source is coming from this direction. The opposite side of your tree will be darker. There'll be some shading, that'll blend the dark into the light areas. This is going over the length of a short, that's okay. They don't even have to be perfect. Let's grab another color. I'm going to rinse my brush out here. It's okay, this video can be a little longer. I'm going to grab just some pure alizarin crimson over here. Yeah, I'm working on two colors just so you can more easily see. And let's see, I think maybe my base here needs a little color contrast. We're going to throw some of that alizarin crimson in there. Absolutely anywhere. Helps if you kind of pay attention to the forms that you're wanting to create, because you're wanting something of a tree shape here, but so you kind of want to, give your viewer's eye something to suggest that it is, in fact, they're looking at a tree. Now, to me, see how this is starting to bleed right here? It's running down the liquid, running down my canvas. All right, to me, that just kind of makes it look very wispy, like a willow, like a weeping willow, or wisteria, or something like that. So I'm gonna put these little vine-looking jobs in here. I'm even gonna reach for some of this Indian yellow. Get myself something of a greenish color in that. It doesn't have to be exact. I don't really care. We're gonna throw that in there. Kind of break things up a little bit, and throw a suggestion of a good strong branch right here, maybe one there. We might clean that up a little bit later, who knows. Let's put some more wispies in here. Literally, I'm not even putting any pressure on the brush at all. I'm literally letting the weight of the brush do the work for me. Wherever it hits the canvas is where it hits, and where I leave it. Pull a stroke, make a mark, see what I got. If I don't like it, maybe correct it or leave it. It doesn't matter. In this exercise, you are free to do whatever you want. Maybe a little groundwork down here. Notice this is still super wet. I haven't mixed any of my colors together. I'm just kind of reaching into my pile and letting the colors mix themselves. I am not intentionally mixing them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get these gorgeous results down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to mix the color out of my brush. By the way, for those of you who are curious, this is a dagger brush. You see the shape of that? That's called a dagger brush. This is what gives you some really random marks on your canvas that look juicy and just awesome. The size is 3/8, but don't pay any attention to the sizes of the brushes. They don't matter so much. All right, so this tree kind of looks a little boring to me. Does it not to you? Like, he's got shape. That's awesome. Let's kind of restore this branch right here. Oh, look at that. I think I went on the wrong side of my light source. That's okay. Just put another little branch right there, and we'll darken that side in a little more. We'll blend it into the tree, and voila. can also use this right here as a little bit of reflected light. That's another subject. Look at that, all that's continuing to bleed. That's gorgeous. That is just gorgeous. I love it. We're going to worry about limbs in a little bit. Right now I'm not too concerned. You know, a few more little spots of blue in here somewhere just to kind of break up that magenta-y red color a little. I think maybe we need a ground, don't you? Maybe we need somewhere for this tree to be growing out of. I'm going to reach back into this alizarin crimson right now. You know what? I changed my mind. I don't want the alizarin crimson. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go straight in here to my Indian yellow. And I'm just going to drag a random mark. Not even going to worry about filling this in completely. Just putting in some different color right there. On the other side over here, again, what it looks like does not matter. I'm not using a reference. Just filling in the shape. Now, clearly that yellow is just a little, you know, too shocking, a little too bold there for that painting. It's taking over everything else, and that is cool too. We're going to go in here to the alizarin crimson now, and we're just going to dab some of that in here to kind of break it up a little bit. What is this specifically? Doesn't matter. It's kind of background, a little something to anchor the tree, somewhere for it to live, but like seriously, that can be anything you want it to be. You know? Got some purpley brown colors going on down here. Let's add a few little more to them with that yellow in there. Just splash it in here and there. How it actually falls on the canvas, like I said, does not matter. In fact, we want this to be loose. We want this to have that hand-painted feel. And you can't get that if you're being too exacting, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe these are some weird little bushes or something like that, right? Make some grass textures. Even if you can't see it, it's okay. Fan brush here to help with some grass textures. If you just lean on the fan like so, stand it on the bristles and give them a flick, you can get them rough looking surfaces to, you know, the rough hairs to flick upward. Kind of make it look grass looking-ish. Doesn't necessarily have to look like grass. Nobody's going to be that picky. Trust me. No one will. Let's see. Alright, let's throw in some more branches. It feels like there needs to be more branches in here. For that, I'm going to go back with this phthalo blue. I'm just thinning out the phthalo blue in my on my palette is in mass. It's right out of the tube, what it would look like right out of the tube. I'm putting a little bit of oil or a little bit of medium on my brush directly, and then putting my brush into the phthalo to, you know, make my phthalo a little more liquid. But it's still in mass. It's still the tone that it is out of the tube. I haven't mixed it with anything. A little darker on this side here. Right in here. This big limb here. Go ahead and throw in some. He splits off. Let's go to small limbs. Let's go with some small limbs that look like they're in between the leaves and whatever, and we'll put some more, dab some more on top too when we get there. Looks like there needs to be, I don't know, a limb wants to live right here. Broken off, gnarly looking thing, you know? Looks like it wants to be right there. So we'll put one there. It's just kind of suggesting that there was one there by that shape. And you can really just use directional lines like that right there to just kind of suggest where you want the eye to go, you know? Or you see something like, I don't know, you're trailing your brush along to paint in a limb like this and it just goes a little wonky. Follow it. Go with it. Let it go wonky. It's alright. A little more of these streamers down here. See how that's breaking up? The paint is somewhat breaking up. It's not adhering very well because it's to the canvas right now, because it's so very wet with the medium that I put on it beforehand, that I did off camera. So the oil paint doesn't really want to stick to my canvas right now, but that's okay. It's breaking up and doing that. That's just making a more beautiful image to me. And eventually when it dries, it'll be plenty adhered to the canvas. I know what you might be worried about, you know, it's going to crack and all that, and the potential that it could crack is definitely there. It could indeed crack. I've done this a few times now and I haven't had any of them crack. That's not to say that it won't happen though. But literally, I'm just playing with this, as you can see, and I've already got what appears to be a convincing tree. Sorry for bumping the camera. And the fact that you're staring at my shoes. But, like, there you go. I don't know, you want... Let's put something off a little that direction right there, kind of maybe a root creeping out the other side of the tree. Let's not go too deep. Over here too, you know, maybe it's a root creeping out of the other side of the tree, maybe not, but that's for the viewer to decide. In reality, let's see, I think this over here, this could use a little bit of red right in here, yeah, a little bit. A little bit on this side, I think. We're just throwing it in there anywhere, and this will help create just these random kind of, you know, shapes that don't have any body or whatever in the tree right here in these areas. These will help create a little bit of, not only will it help lend shape to the tree, but it'll help give the tree a little bit of texture, you know, like the roughness of the bark. Add some contrast to help further add shape and lead the eye. You want to help kind of, you know, in any composition, you kind of want to lead your eye around the painting. So like, let's say your eye starts here in the painting, and then you see this big old, you know, limb looking structure right there that I just painted back in. I'll have to do something with that. I'm not quite digging that. That's okay. You kind of follow the tree itself around. See this color here, and it kind of leads you back up this side, and you got this limb right here that's going away out the painting, but we don't care whether or not it's going out of the painting or leading your eye back into it. Those are all other concepts for which we can address at a different time. Let's see, I don't know, I want something more splashy in them leaves a little bit. Thoroughly rinse my brush out right here and get as much of this phthalo out as I can. And we're gonna go, let's see, I think we're gonna go for, yeah, we're just gonna go for some, see, here's what I'm squirting onto my brush off camera, because I don't want it on, leaving dollops on my, you know, canvas. We're gonna go for a little plain alizarin crimson. I wouldn't mind having some cad red, but I don't have any out on my palette, and that's fine. Let's just dab. Let's get, you know, I mean, literally these can fall anywhere you want them to. Big old blotches, big old patches. You can leave a lot of white or no white at all. You can eliminate all of it if you want. Do some more of these little streamers. Kind of make them come somewhat off of a limb, you know, so it looks a little congruent, but it doesn't actually have to come off of the limb itself. It can be floating out there in the middle of nothing. Down in front, some on this side. I'm going to take some of this blue and hijack it for another limb right here. Just because I want another limb there. Look at that. Instantly change the flavor inside of the painting and all that just by hijacking a different color one from the other with whatever's already in my brush, and I get another limb. I'm going to paint that a little bit darker with some phthalo on this other side here. On this side, we're going to come off of the main trunk. I'm just going to follow what's there. There you go. Whether it gets squiggly on you, who cares? Doesn't matter. Give it a little more dark right here to kind of lend a little more shape to it. Boom, instant limb. There you go. You know? Maybe you want a few little more sticks, a little more twigs. Light pressure, tip of the brush, very tip of the brush. Whoops, messed that up, but that's okay. There, now it's a leaf shape. See? Simple as that. Like you were intending to make a specific shape and it didn't work out that way. Now it's not that, it's something else, and that's fine too. Kind of like that wispy look a little bit, kind of ghostly look there that I'm getting. Come back over here with a little blue. I think that's enough for the wispiness, and I'm kind of losing some of my edge. You know what? I want to define that again, but I want to redefine that. Instead of the kind of purpley look I've got going on right there on this edge, let's go with straight magenta, or I mean alizarin crimson. Super light touch on the brush, pure alizarin crimson paint. And we're just going to go in here, kind of redefine this edge. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You ain't even got to fall within any bleed out. It's starting the medium on my canvas is starting to dry a little bit, so when I put new fresh paint down, it is bleeding out less. You got to kind of pay attention to these things too. These can help disperse the paint in somewhat predictable ways and unpredictable ways, because when it's very wet, it's going to flow a lot, like watercolor. Not the same as watercolor, obviously, because it's got different viscosities, but similar too. When the medium that you've put on your canvas, if you even decide to ever try that route, what the heck is on there? That's going to move differently as it starts to dry. Got a little piece of something on there. Now it's starting to dry, the paint will move differently on there. And that's good, that's fine. Now I can get these little more concentrated individual kind of drops here. I think maybe that our leaves need a little bit of green. And we have phthalo blue and Indian yellow. So we have a green. You just got to mix it, and that's fine. Because I prefer to mix my own greens anyway. Yeah. Phthalo blue and Indian yellow don't really make for the best looking green, but that's okay. Look at that slop on the end of that brush. It's a green. It'll do. Ish. I don't know. If you're not happy with it, rinse it out, fix it, change up your Indian green for maybe a cadmium yellow, or even a, you know, to go with your phthalo, or maybe a Indian yellow, not Indian green, Indian yellow and ultramarine blue for a different kind of green, Prussian blue. Anyway, it don't matter. We're just going to touch that in there a little bit here and there to kind of lend a little bit some slight differences. Some different leaf colors to more suggest that these are leaves rather than relying on random colors, because some people won't see the random colors as leaves. And that's fine too, they don't have to. Something like that. Kind of like the wispy viney look. Getting a lot of glare over here, so it's difficult for you to see what's going on right here. But anyway, this video is already a little over 20 minutes long, and I was just demonstrating a really quick way to paint a kind of cool looking freaking tree. I can call that good if I want to, or I can keep going. You could call it good if you wanted to, or you could keep going. Either way, see me back here for my next full-length video. Do all the things, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos if you like what I saw, and hopefully it'll be back in a more regular way. I still have some shorts to do, but yeah, peace and thank you. Have a good day.